Hey folks, how you all doing? It's time for another block party. This is Colin Ulrich.
This is Rangru, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, it's WARNO time. We continue with the WARNO division play over here. And Rang, what's going on today on Vertigo? Who do we have? What are they bringing?
On the left-hand side, in the blue, we have Tofuk playing 82nd Airborne, and on the right-hand side in red, we have Lathans playing the 7th East German Armour Division.
So we saw the 7th over here, I want to say over here on Tuesday. So we kind of expect that. And the 82nd, as you might suspect, very infantry heavy. But where do they differentiate each other after that?
82nd is currently a pretty damn good division, because a lot of their units have forward deploy. As you're seeing, they get into the front line faster, because they get to deploy even further in the front line right now. So, mobile, good infantry, a lot of aircraft. Honestly, they may lack a little bit in the heavy tank variety, but with the helicopters and aircraft, you can definitely make up for that. And being able to get into those early positions, as you're seeing right now, the military police and TOW2s unloading into Echo. And also an Alpha Corral, he's in that town, set up, and Lathans is just getting plastered.
Yeah, that is certainly a bit of a hassle, let's put it mildly. And the Humvee's just gonna just skirt right back out.
Really like that with the vehicles now, how they don't just disappear, but actually go back to the rear. Looks really cool. Makes the battlefield seem a bit more alive.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now, one thing I'm a little bit concerned about here is that there are already Cubs on the field, and between that and the big 21s,
Oh, wow.
making gun runs, actually.
Yeah, honestly, a pretty smart move there from Lathans, knowing they're going to be a whole crap of aircraft from the 82nd perspective. So you might as well be prepared.
Now, we are seeing marks on the field already, so folks look to see that being something that gets hit by artillery, or something that gets hit over here by, cluster bombs or LGBs or anything like that. Or rather, look at the wrong side for that. No, more than just straight HE.
It's really just coming down to his alpha push here. Lathans has really invested a lot of forces. He has a whole heap of tanks, but the tanks can only do so much in a town fight. He needs to get some more infantry in here, which is what he's doing, but that's going to take time, and that will give Tofuk time to set up. He does have a few M1 AP Abrams, which are decent. They can go toe-to-toe with East Germans quite well. It's just going to be important about using them effectively.
Yeah, because they're looking past that, they have Sheridans, which I don't want to malign the fair Sheridan, but not exactly what you want to be doing against a whole swath of T-55s and T-72s. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, it's just a nice, cheap, light tank, but it's not exactly the greatest anti-tank, even with its Solea ATGM.
But not to be outdone, there is a hefty chunk. Oh no, it's all the Humvees just piecing. F4 Phantoms being brought on, and so not too much to just necessarily be celebrating just yet. But there are also 125 mortars with 80 mil stovepipes on the field. Curious.
Indeed. And it says it's coming down to Alpha. We're seeing a huge infantry push here from Lathans. It's gonna be running his infantry a little bit out in the open here. I think maybe if he was to drop some smoke, he should be able to get into the town, but alas, that's not the case. And the Bradley's also in a pretty good position. Actually in a very sneaky position, because the T-55s don't really have an... Okay, he moved a little bit. And he gets blapped. Never mind.
Well, the funny thing for me is the M35 was just down the road, and it's just like, ah, yes, shoot the thing full with high explosives. It's like, okay, guys, time to move. But the position here is actually really, really great, because the M35 can now go and give a lot of ammunition over here to the M67 inside that warehouse. So, really solid fight and defensive position.
Yeah, and those military police with the recoilless rifle are nothing to really be sneezed at, even though they're just, cheap military police units. Because that recoilless rifle may not be blowing up any actual proper tanks, but against a horde of BMP-1s and other light armor, it's a very cost-effective solution.
I know we mentioned it before. Can we just talk again about how beautiful even the artillery effects look? Oh my gosh.
It's very good looking game, and also just the sound effects go
Yeah.
a long range, making it seem like an actual battlefield.
and move over the 50 mil things from the SD2. Geez, so the rate of fire on those mortars is absolutely absurd.
Yep, and we're seeing Tofuk relocate immediately because Lathans is a 2S3 already on the field doing counter battery work. Once again, counter battery is extremely deadly in this game, so you gotta keep your artillery on the bloody move.
Well, the interesting thing too is that we actually have a couple of MI2 and MI8. They're trying to get eyes on over here. Actually, back inside, was that Echo over here? Yeah, with Echo. They should be able to take Echo without too much of an issue, but there still is that Stinger in the area, so... I want to check that over here. Yes, he's at 2,300 meters, so he's got an opportunity to engage.
Indeed. Yeah, probably pushing down south here for Lathans is his best bet. It's just not a whole heap of stuff here so far from Tofuk, and it's a bit more of an open area where 82nd will perform a little bit worse, instead of trying to grind it out in a town fight against 82nd. As we see, it's a grind, and 82nd is ready to grind.
It is a grind, but the 253, excuse me, the 2S3M rather, is going to go and just start obliterating those buildings.
Also, the military police out for the time being.
But still it's a +2. I don't know if the 7's going to be able to really kind of condense enough forces to make this a true fight. I feel like he's going to have to be leaning on his air power, and not for nothing. I think there's still enough like mortar firepower just to make him just rather stressed, let's say.
Yeah, and we're seeing once again the mortars fire, and Lathans' position is pretty clustered in that forest, so he's going to take quite a bit of damage to those 81 mils. Mainly just the suppression to slow him down. Once again, a 7 push is really, a much better geographical location for him to attack. Of course, he did get hit by the Stinger a little bit, the Mi-8, took some damage, and we're already seeing the counter battery, so to speak, on that team.
Which does make sense. Oh, the command zone, okay, that's why. I was like, command zone lost, that doesn't make any sense. And I realized, yeah, he snuck that last little bit in there just in case. Oh.
He's right next to the Stinger, oh, SU-22, and he's blabbed.
I looked away, and as I looked back, I just realized it's just a smoking hole in the ground.
Well, MiG-21 coming in. Just like a Vietnam dogfight between the F4. Oh, and even the SU-22 coming in by an F-15C and another F-4 Phantom. It should pretty much be aerial supremacy for NATO.
Engine fire. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing to have here. Worth mentioning, there are 105s on the map, and they're putting a lot of suppressor fire down here to the south. Actually, I can really appreciate this quite a bit. Oh, geez, the airborne scouts have T-55 in the turn. Oh my gosh.
They actually managed to use up all of her AT-4 rockets, which is quite impressive, forcing the Pioneer Führer to jump out a little bit early. Yeah, this is a problem here for Lathans. He's kind of choke point on this very narrow corridor into Echo, and, well, Tofuk is taking advantage of that with the artillery.
Well, it certainly is. And the airborne scouts, not to be outdone, engaging the recon helicopter with the M16s. They're rather plucky individuals, to be sure. Now, northern side, we are actually going to see a bit of an infantry push. I say a bit because there's not a whole lot left of them after they make about 5 steps.
Yeah, the airborne troops are just so well-equipped. I mean, having 2 M60 machine guns gives them a lot of long-range firepower here. Got the IP Abrams. Unless he's going to use smoke, pushing this town is just not going to be viable at all. And even then, it's just, you're trying to push against the, airborne infantry division in a town fight as a tank division. It's not worth it.
One thing I have kind of, they took the southern town.
They did. Snuck in the CV with the Pioneer Führer. Now, if Lathans could just get some, actual armor down here, and a bit of fire support, he could actually clear out Echo entirely.
By the way, in the far north, there's just a Flampan, so he's just kind of doing this thing. He's not going to be doing any flamming, I don't think. Not with the AT-4 still in that area. But they still do have a 100mm gun. and that's going to be able to kind of go and kind of keep things rather interesting and hot. Unfortunately, I think the motorized Schutzen might get taken out before there's too much more said.
Those airborne fire teams aren't quite deadly. I know we're seeing a flank from the IP Abrams against the T-55s, and that should pretty easily force them back.
That might be the case, but there still are an awful lot of vehicles there. Right. With the mortars not out of munitions, but certainly dropping them exactly where they need to, I'm wondering if we're going to see any kind of aggression from this airborne, trying to maybe engage the Pioneer Fuhrer. He's got to get awfully close for that.
And the mortars is making his life a little bit easier here. He's going to be backing off, which is probably the smart thing to do, just resupply and get back in. He does have a Humvee being brought on up. There's a recon run for reconnaissance.
Well, there's another Humvee to the south, too, with an AB Stinger, as well as the engineer leader behind that, kind of being kept in to kind of go and backstop any kind of point generation over here for Lathans. But... There's still plenty of T-72s being walked on in. You see quite a few of them being brought forward.
The T-55s, that's a whole heap of East German armor spam here. And for now it should work, as there's really not a whole lot of anti-tank to deal with him. Of course, an IP Abrams could prove to be a bit of... I don't see if that many T-72s you should be able to blow through IP Abrams with that. It's just about whether he can actually use his force effectively to get into Echo, because once again, there's a lot of air power from the 82nd, and if he keeps those tanks clustered, well, he's probably going to get cluster bombed.
Well, we're also going to see that Pioneer Fuhrer decides that maybe it's better to be a little bit further back than where we've been right now, which I can't help but agree with. But yeah, I mean, geez, if you are the 82nd, time to bring in the Wild Weasels, man. You have the F-111s for a reason. You have cluster munitions, and that is just screaming, please, 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 shoot us. And to the north back as well. Jeez, I had one of them turning in the other direction. The Pioneer Fuhrer, booking it out of there. Everything in that forest, he's dead. Well, everything red in that forest is dead, so thereby proving better dead than red, I imagine.
Indeed, just a small push from the airborne here is enough to make Lathans think at discretion is a better part of valor and bugger off. So that's pretty big, because that's giving him a very nice +4. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Lathans to try and neutralize that, or actually fully capture Echo if you want to bring it back to an even Stevens. I do like his use of smoke to cover the infantry so he can get across the open field, and the tanks are making their charge.
Well, considering how much of that material was just an incredible amount of artillery support. And the Cobra, yeah, Cobra is rotating around. Yeah, he's going to go after anything he can, but the Shilka's going to kill him. Almost without fail. Yep, there we go.
And to shoot him down, yeah, this is just a huge horde of tanks. I'm still just waiting for this to get blown up somehow. Okay, we got a tow Cobra being brought on in. IP Abrams as well, so we are seeing anti-tank options being leveraged here. And I don't think it's not... The air isn't nearby yet to the T-55s and T-72, so the tow Cobra should be able to pop off a few of these tanks.
Yeah, you should think so, but at the same time, let's be very, very careful. Okay, yeah. The leader down south is getting absolutely plastered by everybody.
Yeah.
Those air-to-grounds are a little bit less impressive than I expected them to be.
Yeah. Just fired off his Hydras, using up all the ammo. Now he's just going to be picking off the T-55s, so the T-72s deploy smoke. We got the F-15 in the air, and okay, there we go, A-10. That's how you stop a Soviet armoured column. Or East German armoured column.
Again, like I said before, another block party, so yeah, exactly. But he's so slow. Oh.
Goes up the anticipation.
Yeah, I just mean like it's... You gotta be able to have some other kind of material in the meantime. And he didn't put a single rocket down on the dirt. Curious.
It's just using that gun to pick up the T-55s here.
Well, now you have both the Sheridans and Abrams down to the south. Like, yes, they have technically put some troops on the ground, but if I'm them, I
That's
would
a
not
lot of
be.
Abrams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably be enough to stop his push as well as the A-10 picking off T-55s. I mean, those Sheridans may not exactly be well armoured or have a great ATGM, but they do outrange the T-55s and T-72s.
Also worth mentioning, mortars getting picked off here. Unfortunately, those guys are finally going down. And one of the Sheridans kind of proving, like you said, not the best weapons platform overall. Another one going down here in the meantime. So now it's just the one IP Abrams desperate to fight off the Soviet hordes.
A-10 coming in, getting another good pick off. There's no anti-air nearby, so pretty much time is on Tofuk's side. He can just keep picking off tanks one by one, and that's exactly what he's doing. He doesn't really have any infantry right now to follow up, but he is, I think, trading pretty efficiently down south.
Well, that's the curious thing, isn't it? Is that he doesn't actually have to go and kill everything with his vehicles. So long as his infantry continues to pick up the odd kind of kill here or there, that should be more than fine. Oh no, that A-10 is going way too far to the east. The Cub. Ugh.
Only does 4 hit points because that A-10 is beefy. IP Abrams going to be backing off because and also Toko again a bit too close here. You really want to wait for infantry reinforcements before trying to push up because, yep, make sure anyone kills the Cobra and the A-10 is going to be buggering off.
In the meantime, Soviet mortars now getting kind of, feisty, dropping rounds to the southern side. And is that just smoke? Yeah, I know he's just putting smoke down. Okay. Tons and tons of smoke.
Yeah, at this point, Lathans really needs to invest in some better long-range anti-tank capability, probably some more advanced T-72 models. He doesn't have any infantry ATGMs, but he needs something to help hold that forest line because that's a very good geographic position he's managed to get himself into. But with T-55 spam, you're not going to be trading efficiently against IP Abrams.
No, not even remotely. Not even remotely.
Up north, we're seeing the Cub being forced to move a little bit. T-55 as well, the AM with the ATGMs trying to get in on the action. But honestly, at this point, Alpha is just kind of a lost cause here for Lathans. I don't think it's even worthwhile just trying to take it.
There's too much junk there.
Yeah.
Well,
could potentially get a hotel.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, can the howitzers actually drop enough firepower to keep that push where it is right now, just in the whole idea of Echo? Or, I'm not sure.
I think if those 105s just keep pounding away, they'll be able to slow down, but at the same time, the 105s are extremely vulnerable to counter battery, because they are not self-propelled.
So are the mortars, too.
They are. It's, mortars are pretty vulnerable, which is the one big problem with them, if they're not in an APC.
Oh my god!
Oh.
I'm sorry. I had to acknowledge the F-111 just obliterating an entire Soviet, platoon.
And the AP Abrams down south making the push, getting some good pickoffs here. T-72's route also being able to slap back. And they do get the kill. Yeah, CQC, if he can force the fights to CQC battles, those T-72 should come out on top. Do have the faster fire rate, if I recall, compared to... Oh no, the AP Abrams actually does have the faster fire rate, never mind.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, I want to check the accuracy on the move. Yeah, and I appreciate this too. So the Abrams does have a laser directional distance capabilities here too, and the T-55, T-72s didn't have that, so I actually appreciate that too. You check out the accuracies. Yes, it was only 15 or 20%, but that's still quite enough.
Yeah. Phantom, never mind, not doing anything here.
Nah.
I've seen a lot of smoke being dropped onto hotel, but I think it's more defensive smoke.
Ooh.
Oh.
Between the Strelkas and the Cubs, and there's just so much anti-air here now.
Yeah, but the IP Abrams managed to flank up north a bit, getting these T-72s on the retreat, and Tofuk is slowly but surely managing to get a foothold back into Echo.
A foothold, yes. A victory, not quite yet, but he is picking off weapon systems, that is for sure.
We're seeing the Lathans having to set up a second defensive line where all his anti-air is. And he doesn't really have, once again, lacking the long-range anti-tank firepower. He's bringing up some of his T-55 AM2s, which do have a... Okay, yeah, these are just the baseline range without the ATGM. They're still decent, but they're not decent at the long-range firefights, which is what he needs.
No, but he is announcing another push to the north.
He has a lot of stuff like built up north. He's even bringing in some SPG-9 UAZs to help out as well. Or what's he gonna push for if he doesn't really have infantry? Is he?
No, he's got some, but it's a very, very minor bit. It's the SPWs to the northern side.
Yeah, it's...
That's all he's got, though.
If he's gonna move up tanks in there, he's just gonna get blabbed by all the infantry.
Well, the fun thing is he actually has 3 supply trucks. One of them's out, but the other ones are still in decent shape. But yeah, northern side, the Abrams is still going to see an awful lot. It's still airborne, just shifting to the northern side to be able to see this push. I don't know if I like it very much.
Yeah. Well, A10 coming in once again, this time up north. Yeah, I think he's bringing it out in anticipation of whatever's going to come through that smoke, which is actually nothing. Nothing's happening up north, it's all smoke and mirrors, Khan.
For the moment, yes, but now we have Airborne, who's going to be engaging the SPWs moving forward. The Pioneers, who can't get a whole lot done, because now they're caught in the open. And, you know, as great as it might be to have a PKM, I mean, it's not enough when you're being engaged by M60s and M16s.
Especially from a defensive position.
Yes. Now, we are also seeing that the anti-air positions to the south are getting suppressed by the 105s. Engaging that Cub, it might even be able to take it out, has been awful good. Suppression for sure. He desperately needs to get repaired. Not a lot of cohesion here. But no, he survives it for right now.
Gonna be forcing him back for the time being. Yeah, it's really just a matter of time before Tofuk gets a foothold proper into Echo. He's bringing in the reconnaissance. He just needs to get a little bit more anti-tank in the forest line on his side of Echo. And he's pretty much good to go. He doesn't need to fully capture Echo, just neutralizing it will give him that plus 2-point advantage.
A10's moving in. He's going to go for those T-72s out in the open, and he's going to engage like crazy. He's going to die. He's absolutely going to die.
Cub does not mess about when it comes to shooting down slow-moving aircraft.
Well, as I said to you beforehand, I would love to see the A-10 be worthwhile, but the thing is just so out of date by the time a lot of this engagement happens. Unfortunately. And he doesn't have enough artillery or enough suppression to really put the hurt on those anti-air systems.
We've seen like his group of Flampanzers dance back and forth a bit. Once again, he doesn't really have any infantry to lead the charge, which is kind of his issue in trying to push up north.
No, you know what? I do think we're going to see. Yeah, he's the... Yeah. 152's going to start to engage. He's got 2 more being brought on in the meantime.
I do like a bit of smoke onto the northern town. They're going to be blocking off those airborne a bit from shooting, which will give Lathans a little bit of leeway in getting a good position in there. But once again, it's just... He is getting infantry up, but there's a lot of airborne infantry in there, and airborne infantry do not mess about.
No, you can see it right now. Even if all these T-72s are being pushed onto the Flampanzers, M67s are going to be able to cause a bit of havoc. Not something huge, but just a little bit, I would think. And you're starting to see... Yeah, the 105s are engaging. Not spectacularly, but they're still at least engaging.
We do see a CV being brought in to neutralize Alpha at least, which will, by Lathans, bit of time. He's getting the tanks back into the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, probably just trying to hold to what he's currently got up north is his best bet. Just keeping it neutralized is probably the better point investment than trying to take the entire thing. And right now, getting that +2 because Echo hasn't been recaptured yet, but it's going to happen very shortly.
Yes, it is. Because the Abrams, oh my gosh, this mad Abrams. He's got no fuel, so we're going to have ourselves like one of those Fury moments over here. He's going to go down, almost without a doubt, but he's going to take a heck of a lot of stuff with him. That'll do.
Yeah, the C-55s, once they get very close range, are quite deadly. And it's very cost effective for only 75 points. Problem is just trying to get in close range, which is always... That's pretty much like the East German Panzer Division in a nutshell. You know, you want to try to get knife fighty with the NATO tanks.
Not really what my first impulse would be, all things considered.
Don't you fit bayonets on your tanks? I usually just like get a bayonet and duct tape it to the barrel and just try to charge it into people. It's like a medieval arching.
That's true. That's true, but jousting goes a little bit better when I only have to get through a couple of millimeters of press plate as opposed to 150 with reactive armor.
Just drive faster.
Other than that, what's that?
Just drive faster.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's at that point I would have to be a red tanker because the red ones definitely do go faster. So.
It's actually his northern Persei. He's making a bit of progress here. The infantry down south are going to get blapped, but he's bringing in a whole heap of reinforcements. Maybe if we can get some of these flamethrower troops into the town, he might be able to contest it a bit.
Yeah, well, we have dragons, we have basically AT-4s, and then 67s. They're gonna... This armored vehicle column is gonna take heavy losses to get through, but they are going to get through.
Yeah, he's putting down a lot of firepower here. And even though it's slow and steady, he is managing to force those airborne back a bit. He just needs a bit more infantry to follow on through, and that's what he's doing. He's bringing in some more Chechens. Yeah, he might be... Ironically, he might be able to just out-tank the northern... Or out-bomb it.
With 3 planes. Oh my god, this is brutal. Yeah, that is not pretty.
They're freaking out Tofuk a bit, forcing him to fall back. Oh, one more Chechen squad gets blapped coming up. Very good sniper from the Dragon Airborne.
It is also worth mentioning, though, that down to the south, they had 3 squads of troops just kind of sneak on through, took out a supply truck. Cobra, in the meantime, is forced to engage him with air-to-ground rockets. So I imagine he would have preferred having that Cobra be a little bit more aggressive to the easterly positions. But not going to happen right now, that's for sure.
No, it is not. Yeah, the meat grinder up north does continue. Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised. He's beaten back the airborne here. The Pioneers' men are getting close, and once you start getting into flamethrower range, the flamethrowers kind of do most of the work for you.
True. 105s are out of munitions, so last round's being brought into the southern side to kind of support that defense slash attack slash defense. And the northern side, Abrams does go down as T-72s just overwhelm them. So 5, 6 of those with a lot of munition tanks being brought in to prepare. Actually, I think this is going to be a seizure of Alpha.
I think so too, especially with the flank of the T-72s. They haven't been punished, so he's putting down a lot of firepower here. And Tofuk up north, he's probably starting to run a little bit low in tanks, being invested with IP Abrams down south. These Germans are just outlasting.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a UH-60 for some reason fly across the front lines and going to go down, I'm sure.
He's trying to get eyes on. Guns. Oh, the clusters! The clusters!
Hold on, sir. I'm not sure I would have sacked an entire, supply helicopter, but clearly I'm already running low on supplies for a lot of stuff. But hey, if it works, I suppose. Now,
Yeah, losing all those T-72s is kind of big, yeah, but at the same time, Lathans is still going to be able to get the positional advantage on Alpha.
well, and MiGs and SU-22s making runs in every single direction. Are there more HE? Yeah, more HE coming towards that town. And he's not even going to care if it's his own troops. He's just obliterating that entire section.
I like how all of a sudden at the 11th hour, the East German Airborne, like, makes a hell of an appearance here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We're seeing a huge chunk of airborne here from Tofuk being brought on through, but they get caught out in the open and take a hefty amount of damage.
Now, the 105s, the southern side, I mean, with the Sheridan, who's going to be engaging with Shillelaghs and the M8. Excuse me, M81, excuse me. So, yeah, broken tracks, exactly. That's going to happen. And the Shillelagh apparently decides to go back to Ireland because he's not going to do anything by going close to those T-72s.
And once the Sheridan gets into range of anything, it just dies. You look at it funny, it just kind of self-combusts. Bradley might be in a bit of a better position, but he's a bit close as well, and Bradley's not exactly Admiral Armour, as we clearly see.
That may be the case, but for the moment... Oh, napalm to the south. Okay, let's see this beautiful napalm. I mean, from a purely not that terrifying perspective.
Does force back the CV a bit, but yeah, actually pretty anticlimactic, doesn't really hit anything.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing right now, especially Lathans, I think, is very much outlasting Tofuk. I think Tofuk is just... I don't know if he has any infantry left. I don't know if he has anything left, honestly.
Yeah, especially armor, because right now it's all coming down to the armor engagements, because especially after losing that northern town, there's no real, areas for the infantry to really take advantage of. It's probably going to come down to helicopters and aircraft and Tofuk in the game.
Which is not really what you want to be hearing, that it's helicopters and aircraft keeping him in the game, because, boots on the ground, makes you win.
Yeah, we're seeing an Apache being brought in up north, which might actually work for a bit, because there's no, anti-aircraft up north, so this Apache can have a field day dealing with these T-55s.
He can have a field day, that's for sure, if he can find the right postal code. There we go. And here come the big 21s in the meantime, so watch this.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's obliterated. Yeah.
We see the tap out, and Lathans, I'm quite surprised, does take the victory. He was not doing well early on, but hey, you just bring in enough T-55s and T-72s, you just kind of outlast.
And that's kind of the name of the game, I feel like, against the 82nd. The 82nd is just going to be really, really good early on, so you have to just say, okay, you know what, I'll take body blows for the meantime, and I'll just kind of continue to stick and stick and stick. Yeah.
I also think Tofuk messed up a little bit right off the bat, because he did buy 2 CVs immediately. Yeah. And I'm very against buying CVs at the start of the match. Because that's 200 points he could have invested in frontline units. Even though he did hold the frontline well early on, extra 200 points really could have helped solidify that frontline even more. And then you just buy the, just in the next 2 ticks, or the next, the first income tick, buy the 2 CVs,
Makes sense. It's worth mentioning at the same time, too, the A-10s, I think he donated a good chunk of his ground attack planes, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
He knew there was definitely that line of anti-air. Unfortunately, one thing led to another. But, God Division has its perks, so perhaps I doth protest too much. Kills and losses, SU-22 killing, a decent amount. T-72s really quite well for themselves. It's Kellerman's the dude who flanked around and picked up those rather fearsome mortars that were causing hassles. One thing I'm noticing about this game is that, for the most part, the maximum number of kills a squad's pretty much going to get is in the area of about 5, maybe 6 if you're a cluster kind of munitions here or there.
Yeah, there's nothing, especially right now in my current matches recast, any super heavy tanks up, 20 vehicles in a match. We got an IP Abrams Nicholas doing pretty decent, knocking out a whole platoon of T-55s, another Abrams as well doing decent.
The cluster bomb with oh my gosh, there's his name right there. Salisbury was looking at that, so I saw Costa. I was like, oh, that Costa's a little further down instead of Airborne. So, I mean, we are seeing a good chunk. And if you look at the beginning part of this match, it's extremely, extremely red heavy.
Yeah, because you just get that like huge positional advantage right off the bat of 82nd, because the forward deployment is pretty big in this game.
Yes.
It's still probably it's powerful. I don't know if it's like overpowered. I'm still like on the fence about it, but it's good regardless.
Well, I mean, if you dictate where the fight happens, you're in a position now where a lot of what you have in this battle space can kill also what a lot is on the battle space to begin with. So it's if you fight where you want to fight, the other guy's definitely has a little bit of issues here or there.
Yeah, exactly. As we saw early on in that town fight, 82nd held it really well because they could do well in a town fight until they didn't.
Exactly. Regardless, I'm actually really excited about how WARNO's been coming along over here in the last few weeks, last couple patches for sure. Is there anything else you want to be adding to this particular replay, sir?
Oh, just expect more WARNO.
Exactly. Doesn't mean it's the end of SD2. We know you guys love it out there, but at the same time, we do want to switch up the time periods a bit, kind of give you a little bit of different material. We'll go from there. So, until next time, I'm Connor Work.
I'm Rangaroo, take it easy.